Alright, so here's a video for my boosted boys. And I lost the damn flashlight again. Just kidding, here it is. Alright, so you've got a Holley Sniper, or, well, it doesn't necessarily apply to snipers, but I'm doing this video specifically for snipers because, well, there's a lack of them. There's tons of information for Terminators, Dominators, HPs, all the other Holley EFIs that I can't think of, whatever. There's tons of info and videos, for those. There is very little on how to with a sniper. Now, if you're like me, you probably figured out the majority of it yourself. Maybe there's some things that stumped you, like something stumped me the other day, so hopefully I can help you out with the information. So, first off, you've got a sniper installed. You want to boost it. Well, for step one, fuel. Can't use this built-in regulator, so cap it. Holley tells you to use the front ones. You can use the rear ones, supposedly, from what other people say, by ripping out the guts of the reg. I'm going to stick with what Holley says, and for the main reason is, to me, there's no crossover in the front. To me, it would seem, there is a crossover back here, right here, this hose. To me, it would seem fuel flowing in a U shape all the way around makes sense, instead of feeding back here and hopefully filling this and not having any air issues here. That would be my main thing, is that maybe you would possibly get air or something. You'd maybe, I don't know, I don't want to say cavitation? I don't know if that's the right word. But lack of flow, more or less. So I would recommend just sticking with the front ones. You can feed, return off either one, doesn't matter. You need an external regulator, boost referenced, hence the vacuum line. Hopefully you have a gauge on it, so you can tell what pressure you're at. I went and installed a transducer on this back port. This is a 6AN ORB to 8th MPT with a low dollar Motorsports 100 PSI transducer, 3-wire sensor, whatever. Now my Holley can data log and also use fuel pressure safeties. This I highly recommend doing. The sensor is like $20, 25, 30, 35, something like that from them. Or you can spend the $100 and something from Holley if you want. But anyways, so I got that wired in just recently. The other thing you're gonna need if you want to do boost control, well, obviously you're gonna need a wastegate. So, boom, wastegate. Sized appropriate for your motor and turbo. All right, I'm using a Tile 44 MVR. There, underneath, is, oh, got this flashlight wants to work. Dome pressure sensor. Yeah, another low dollar Motorsports, right? Dome pressure sensor so I can control boost electronically. And boom, there are my MAC valves. Now, you can do this a couple different ways, several ways actually. You can use single MAC valve, you can use a single 3-port, you can use single 4-port, or you can do like I did and run dual 3-port MAC valves. Now, I don't know if you can make out the plumbing. They've got diagrams online to show you this. You can get these MAC valves from Motion Raceworks. They provided me the fittings, well, not that plastic one there, but the fittings that are on the wastegate that are all metal. And they also provided the push lock hose. And I ended up getting the MAC valves along with the little billet brackets that are mounted with, and that T all off of, I think the T came off Amazon, the MAC valves came off eBay, and they are legitimate MAC valves. So, got those. This flashlight keeps wanting to crap out. Obviously, your O2 sensor placement should be like 12 to 18 inches, I think, or 12 to 15, something like that, back from the downpipe beginning. All right? That's to keep some heat off of it and to give you a decently accurate reading. Obviously, you're gonna need oil lines. You know how to do that. That doesn't have to do anything with the sniper. So, on to the fun part. What I had an issue with was, well, I'll go over what I didn't have an issue with first. So in here, you're gonna need the software. You're gonna go to these custom sensors down here. You're gonna have to add that dome pressure sensor. I have 3. Well, not 3 domes, but I have an oil pressure sensor. I have, my third one is a fuel pressure sensor, which you saw up top, and then I have dome pressure sensor. Now, when you get these these sensors from low dollar, if you go that route, you're still gonna select Holley 100 PSI stainless steel. You gotta use the 10th of decimal position PSI. And the thing that pisses me off, that lost me for so long, is you name them here, but it stays custom 1, 2, and 3 here. I wish that this would overwrite that, because it used to say custom whatever there. I've yet to find a way that it would replace that. So if you know, let me know, because this is annoying. And I'll show you where it's annoying in a second. It's not so bad here, because you click on it and you see it, in case you forget which one's which. Now, like I said, you have warnings. You can set cautions, lows, highs. Now, if you're running the gauges or the dash, or if you have your handheld mounted like I do, they'll flash red, yellow, whatever when they hit a critical thing. But you can also set up safeties. Oh, it's so nice. Yeah, I haven't really done it a whole lot, but I will. I do have a boost safety. I don't think I actually have it enabled. I really need to go do that, especially since I took it for a test drive earlier. But anyways, yeah, so you configure your sensor there. Now, your low dollar one that you get is not going to match your Holley specs down here. You're going to need to go and make sure your voltage or your pressure calibration up here matches, and you have to adjust your voltage down here. I think all the calibration curve matched up here, but the volts, this was 0 instead of 0.5, and this was 5 instead of 4.5, and several other ones changed along the way. So fix that, or your readings are going to be off. On to the other part. Now I made a change, so I'm going to save that real quick and do this before I forget. Oh, never mind. I don't have it plugged, or I don't have it keyed on. Send the ECU. All right. This is gonna be loud for a second. Oh, I got a belt squeal again. That's not good. Figure that out sometime. Anyways, so back to this. So you get that, adjust that, and you're gonna go into boost setup. Now you probably already know all this stuff. You set your dual port, or well, whatever your wastegate is. You set your solenoid. Mine's dual Holley, or dual Mac valve. Holley uses Mac valves, in case you didn't know. If you want to pay $100 a piece for them, feel free to, just like their sensors or however much they charge for them. Then you're going to have your control method, which your sniper, dome pressure only, that's all you got. Now, I'm doing boost versus RPM. You can do boost versus time if you're a drag racer, but mine's a street car, so boost versus RPM applies for me unless you know a better method than I do. Now, your solenoids, I didn't go into this part, but you're going to have to configure those according to where you wired them. Mine are wired to 4 and 5. Make sure you write down what you wire them to. Now, the solenoids, these are negative, all right? These are ground triggers. I don't remember what the lettering is, but if you run a Terminator or whatever, it's like DCM negative or something like that. I don't remember what the lettering is. I forget, sorry. But anyways, look in your manual or your quick start guide. You have, I think, 3, 4, and 5 for outputs, or 4, 5, and 6, something like that. And then you will make sure you run the negative to, each corresponding. And the other side of your Mac valve will just go to a 12-volt positive. All right, so it'll have 12 volts going keyed, preferably. Switch 12 volt, which you can grab off of whatever By the way, Holley tells you not to use the same trigger wire that you use for the sniper. They like to keep it clean, so to prevent having that as an excuse for RFI, find a different source. All right. But anyways, so you feed 12-volt keyed to one side of the Mac, and then one ground output, and then the other ground output to the other one. All right. If you have trans-brake launch control, configure it. You can use this TPS boost modulation if you want. What this does is ramps your boost level according to your table, which we'll get to in a sec. Here's your safeties. Oh, I do have safeties. Yes. All right, so I did actually leave those in. So your safeties, I recommend setting these up. All right. You can set to revert to wastegate. Well, ignore is one option. Revert to wastegate or cut ignition. All right. And you can program in the PSI for whatever, or PSI over a certain time period. And the output. Very useful. Very good. All right, so dome control. If you're like me, you're using the turbo, which is compressor. That's your pressure source. Not so sure what the limiter is supposed to be set to, but dome pressure. You need to select that. Hopefully, you've added the sensor. Once you add the sensor, there they are. Look, there's all my sensors I added in. Oil pressure, dome pressure, fuel pressure. Make sure you choose the right one if you have multiple, all right? Then, your PID values. What you're going to probably want to do is go watch Devin Vanderhoof's video on how to adjust these. I think the video where he goes over this is something like Holley Pro Series Mac valves or Pro Series boost solenoids or something like that. He goes over in depth how to configure these. All you got to do is, instead of that being compressor, you change it to fixed. You run a shop regulator, your compressed air regulator. I have a small one over on the side, I'll show you in a sec. But you put a fitting in it and you run your source side, which, give me a sec. Let's see if this will load up. Boost control Mac valve. Boom. All right. Well, if it ever pulls up. It's not pulling up. There it is. All right. So, there is your diagram for how this goes. Now, if you're using compressor for your pressure source, you will T into this line. Now, be careful when you plumb this, because I don't know why, but I screwed up and teed off of wrong places, and it took me several hours to figure out why my Mac valves were going nuts. But yeah, so you plug the front ones, you vent number 2. Your boost positive one, you feed pressure into number 1. I'm pretty sure the way these Mac valves work, these can't be flipped. So make sure you use port 1 of your boost fill for pressure source and vent out port 2 of your vent. All right? Dome pressure goes in your dome. The bottom of the T goes into the dome. Your pressure source feeds the bottom of the wastegate just like normal. And you tee off to feed your pressure source. Okay? So, in doing that, instead of, like I said, you'll set it to fixed, set your shop regulator to whatever, and then type it in here because there's going to be a field here. And you would play with these PID values until you get it where you follow the lines more or less. I don't have it hooked up right now. I'm not going to show you. You can go watch Devin's video to see what I'm talking about. But you'll monitor your boost curve, which is this, with your dome pressure. And these numbers are my numbers that I'm using for the car. When you're doing this, you're going to use a lot different numbers. You're going to have, you're probably going to have the shop compressor set to like 80 psi, and you're going to want to check from like 0 to 60 to 5 to 80, and you want to have it make drastic jumps to make sure your Mac valves can keep close to that line accurately. Because you'll also get, I think it's called oscillation, where your Mac valves are just doing this, and they're flapping open like crazy, and they will vibrate themselves to death, and you'll be replacing MAC valves. You don't want that. So to control the boost accurately, quickly, and effectively, you want to tune these PID values. Now, I don't think it's that big of a deal with lower boost, and especially with compressor as a source, versus if you were feeding it with, 100 psi of CO2. So anyways, on to what I had a problem with, which, damn, I am going to have to link this. I should have went and pulled the relay on my damn fuel pump. Alright, so you're going to go online, you're going to pull up the strip chart. This is where you tune them at. Now this is what I couldn't figure out. So I already added it. I have it set under one called boost. Boom. So you'll need to get it where you see that. Remember that time when I said that I wish that you could rename this? That right there is why I couldn't find it. Because the whole time I'm looking for dome pressure. So you click on that wrench up there, and this pulls it up. All right. Now what this is, as you saw when I was clicking through these arrows, it's going through these pre-built tables. Now, it took me a while to figure this out, but what you do is you click and drag what you don't want over to this field. This is your, think of it as your library of options. And these are your tables for data log or live chart. So you have to go through here and find, boom, look at there. Custom 1, 2, and 3. All right. So whichever one you configured as dome pressure, click, drag over to one of these. I named this one boost. You can custom, they come pre-filled, or you can make your own. I think this one might have already been something with boost. I don't know. Anyways, but in there I have my boost PSI, which is not used right now. That's your actual map sensor that's built into this to the Holley. Custom 2, which is the dome pressure sensor. Target boost, that is your boost table. That is the boost versus RPM or boost versus time. Now when you're setting these up, you can watch Devin's video, he tells you how to do it, but you use boost time, and you'll hook up trans brake as well, and you'll flip between trans brake and your time, and every time you flip trans brake and you come off trans brake, it's going to start your time map. All right, so you on the table, you want your dome pressure showing and your target boost showing, and you're going to try to overlap those lines and keep them as close together as possible. You can also put your boost fill and boost vent solenoid on another panel. I'll show you how to do that as well, in case you don't know. So one thing is, you notice the values there. Obviously we're not boosting 100,000 psi, so click minimum 0. Left click, maximum. Now you can set it to 100, which is the max of the pressure, or you could set it to whatever is accurate to what you're gonna be doing. So right now mine's set to 55 because that's what I had my shop compressor was set at 50. So I set it a little above just in case it overshot. So actually no, it was 60, wasn't it, or something? What is this? 58. Okay, don't know why. Anyways, I'll set the same so they match. What you want is these numbers to match, and Devin goes over this as well. But that will make these lines overlap. Right now you just see that one solid blue. That's because the other one's overlapped. Actually, it's not showing at all. Just kidding, lied. That's my boost pressure, which is 0. But anyways, so you see this is a separate chart down here to make that change. If you want to make multiple, come down to panel. Panel 1, this one, it's on panel 2, all right? That's how you do that. That right there had me stumbled for a while, had me baffled, whatever, confused. Took me a while to figure that out. So hopefully if you came across the same problem I did, that knowledge helps. Anyways, I won't go over the PID tuning. You can watch Devin's video for that. But that is how you deal with that. Now, if anyone can give me some pointers on Holley boost control by RPM, since I don't have speed control in here. For street cars, I don't know if this is what I should be doing or if it should just be a flat amount across the board to simulate a bigger wastegate spring. I feel like ramping is the safer route, and I want it to kind of taper off towards the end of the RPM, so I'm not max boost at, you know, as my power curve starting to come down as well. Figure it'd be easier on the motor. I don't rev to 6,500 anyways. I think my red line's set at like 6 or 58, so it'll fall in that area. But anyways, I'm playing with it. Tonight was the first time I actually played with an actual test drive of seeing what these values are. Now, to clarify before you go throwing numbers in here, this is the dome pressure chart. This is not boost pressure. Dome pressure is what that dome of the wastegate's seeing. Factor in also whatever size spring you have in it. Now, it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. I've got a 4-pound spring in there. I'm sending 3 pounds of dome pressure from the compressor to the top of that wastegate as well. From my test drive earlier, I'm hitting roughly 5 pounds of boost. I haven't gone back and looked at the data log, but I was watching my boost gauge, which is ish accurate. Should be fairly accurate, but I mean, it's an analog gauge, so. But anyways, I was getting right at 5. Now, if I did the math with a 4-pound spring and 3 psi, I would be at 7. So, play with it carefully, because it might be 1-to-1, might be one way, might be the other way, and it changes over time. So down here, you might be 1-to-1. Here, 3 pounds of dome might end up being 5 pounds of boost. Up here, 10 pounds of dome might be 20 pounds of boost. Follow me? All right. So don't go throwing my numbers into your software and get mad when your ship blows up. Be careful. Research it. Use my info accordingly to help, not as a guide. But yeah. Play with it. If you have any questions on this that I didn't answer, or if you need help with something, comment, message, whatever. If you like what you saw, subscribe and stay tuned for more. This channel is mainly for tracking the rebuild of this car, but along the way, several people have come to me with questions, problems, etc., and I try to help where I can. I've done pretty much everything on this car, so fabricating, welding, wiring, plumbing, the EFI tuning. The only thing I haven't done was, I don't have an aluminum welder, so the fuel tank. A friend of mine is a fabricator. He made my fuel tank. He made the shroud for my van. He made my intake pipes and the glass. I didn't install that. The front one. The back one I did, but the front windshield I had installed. But yeah, other than that, I've done it all. So if I can help, ask away. And thanks for watching, guys.